Tonight, the pride of a father rots into violence within the walls of his own home. A teacher follows a desperate student to the edge of the abyss, only to learn that the dead never stay silent. And on a frozen mountain, two friends uncover secrets buried deeper than the snow, where betrayal cuts sharper than ice. Three tales bound by guilt, madness, and death. Stories that do not end when the body dies, but only when the soul is finally consumed. Dark stories, dark manga tales. Story 01, Father. Shin believed himself a blessed man. His wife was devoted, his daughter obedient and brilliant, and his home was filled with order. To him, this was redemption. His childhood had been chaos, scarred by abusive parents. But now he was the respected head of a household. He was the man of the house, and he carried that role with swollen pride. That morning, Shin walked into the kitchen expecting warmth and respect. But when he greeted his family, his wife and daughter fell silent, eyes nervous, their fear trembling beneath the quiet. Rage surged through him. "Will you not even greet me properly?" he shouted. His voice cracked the fragile calm of the room. He slammed his fist onto the table, demanding his food. His terrified wife rushed to finish cooking, hands trembling as she brought him his favorite fish dish. But Shin only sneered. "Do you think this is enough?"
"I told you, I want dinner waiting before I step into this house."
His voice grew harsher, sweat dripping down his temples. "And don't you dare serve me this fish again. I hate it now. I hate everything." Continues in part 02. Sakura, his daughter, rose quietly, whispering that she needed the bathroom. Shin lunged, gripping her arm, forcing her back into the chair.
"You don't move until I'm finished speaking."
His wife pleaded with him to stop, but Shin demanded she confess that she had shamed him. He struck the table again and again, each blow echoing like thunder in the broken walls of his home. His wife finally spoke, her voice trembling but steady. "We see the truth, Shin. The problem isn't us, it's you. Every time we try to speak, you turn to violence. That is who you are." He snarled, screaming that the house was his, bought with his money. "You eat what I provide. You live under my roof. That makes you mine, my property." Sakura let out a bitter laugh. "Finally, mother. Now you have proof. He's nothing but rot." Shin's fury twisted into confusion. He demanded to know what they meant. His wife's eyes glimmered with something sharp, almost cruel. "We poisoned you, Shin. You should already be dead." Blood surged up his throat, spilling from his lips. He collapsed to his knees. Continues in part 03. He screamed, insisting he hadn't eaten that meal. But his wife calmly reminded him, it was yesterday's dinner.
"You should have died in your sleep. Yet here you are, dragging us through the same nightmare again and again." Sakura spat venom at him. "Just die already."
Panic-stricken, Shin staggered toward the bathroom, desperate to escape. But when he reached for the doorknob, an icy dread froze his hand. His wife and daughter closed in, voices cold, promising to open the door for him if he would not. Inside, sitting lifeless on the toilet, was his own corpse. Shin's scream tore through the walls. The door swung open. His family stepped closer, their eyes hardened with years of torment.
"Disappear, Shin," his wife whispered.
"If you could not give us peace while alive, then at least grant it to us in death." And with that, the illusion of control shattered, leaving Shin face to face with the truth he could never escape. Even in death, he was nothing more than a ghost of violence. Next story, Whispers of the Other Side. Part 01. Sakuma was admired by everyone at the school, students, colleagues, even the administration. His reputation was spotless, his confidence unshakable. But one afternoon, as he walked the halls, faint cries drew him toward the shadows. There he found Kai, a fragile student, cornered by bullies who beat him mercilessly. Sakuma chased them away and brought Kai to an empty room. "You should have told me," Sakuma said gently, "I could have helped you." But Kai's reply left him trembling. "I want to die." The words chilled Sakuma's soul. He tried to reassure him, insisting that life would get better if he worked hard and proved his worth. But Kai's eyes weren't filled with hope. They burned with despair. "Did you grow up fearing that your parents would drown you in the toilet just for existing?" Kai whispered. "Do you know what it's like to never escape pain? Death is my only escape." Continues in part 02. Sakuma insisted that things would change, that Kai must keep fighting. But Kai laughed bitterly. "How long should I wait? How many years? How much pain until then?" He smashed his head against the desk, blood trickling as he screamed, "I want to cross over. I want to go to the other side." In tears, Sakuma promised to stay by his side. And so when Kai asked him to follow, he did. They climbed the mountain behind the school until they stood at the cliff's edge. "This is where people come to end their lives," Kai explained. "I brought you here so you could help me see what lies beyond." Sakuma recoiled in horror, realizing Kai meant to risk death. "I won't take part in this madness." Kai's voice turned dark. "Then I'll do it myself. But if you choke me just enough, I might glimpse the other side. If I see nothing, I'll stop. If I see paradise, maybe I'll finally live." Sakuma refused, but then Kai pulled a blade, threatening to kill him first. In the struggle, Sakuma struck Kai, sending him tumbling over the cliff. Continues in part 03. His scream echoed into the abyss. Sakuma fell to his knees, devastated. He hadn't meant for this, but when he looked over the edge, Kai's broken body lay twisted, with a smile on his face. The news spread quickly. Another student gone. No one knew Sakuma's role. He told himself that maybe, in death, Kai had found peace. But when he entered his classroom, a chill rippled through him. At the window stood Kai, his eyes hollow, his hands pressed against the glass. The pain cracked under the weight of ghostly blows as Kai's voice bled into the room. "Donald, come here. Don't come to the other side." Sakuma tried to flee, but spectral hands erupted from the walls, seizing him, pulling, tearing. His body was shredded as Kai's ghost whispered the final truth. "The world of the dead is not salvation. It is a nightmare." Next story. The Mountain of Secrets. Eiku and Asai were seasoned climbers bound by the traditions of their mountaineering club. Every 2 years they returned to the same mountain, a ritual of endurance and perseverance. But this year, the mountain fought back. A brutal snowstorm swallowed the peaks, trapping them in its fury. Then came disaster. Ichikura slipped on the ice, his knee shattering against stone. His body betrayed him. Every step dragged Asai closer to death. Ichikura begged to be left behind. He knew he was a burden, yet Asai refused. He clung to hope. Until Ichikura's confession cut through the storm like a blade. With tears frozen on his face, Ichikura admitted a terrible secret. 5 years ago,
He caused the death of Sayuri, a young climber from their group. He had carried the guilt ever since.
Shaken, Asai listened. For the first time in years, Ichikura felt relief. Even if death awaited him, he was not alone. But fate shifted once more. Asai found the shelter. They survived the storm, yet survival would birth a new kind of terror. Continues in part 02. Inside the mountain hut, Asai managed to call for help. Rescue would come, but only after the storm passed. Days of waiting, days of silence, days of doubt. Something was wrong. Ichikura seemed distant, haunted not by his wound but by his confession. The guilt that once consumed him now became a weapon, reshaping Asai's thoughts. Paranoia coiled around his mind. Had Ichikura regretted revealing the truth? Could he silence the only witness to his crime? When Asai left to fetch supplies, he returned early, only to find Ichikura watching him through the window, eyes sharp, calculating. Knives were missing from the kitchen. Ichikura offered his own blade to Asai with a calm smile. Was it kindness cruelty. For the first time, Asai wondered if he was truly safe or trapped in a cage with a killer. Continues in part 03. The paranoia became a mirror. When the story shifted to Ichikura's perspective, the truth emerged. He really did want to kill Asai. Despite his injury, he destroyed communication lines, crafted lies, and twisted every word into a trap. Yet just as victory seemed close, Asai faltered, struck by altitude sickness. His blurred vision betrayed him. Ichikura closed in, choking him, demanding a confession in exchange for mercy. And Asai broke. Through sobs, he revealed the final horror.
Ichikura had been innocent all along. Sayuri's death had been his doing. She was pregnant, his child.
To protect his future, he dragged her to the cliff and hurled her into the abyss. He had used Ichikura as a shield, a pawn, a scapegoat. The revelation froze Ichikura's blood. The weight he had carried for years dissolved, only to be replaced by a new terror. He now knew the truth of a murderer. Asai stood at the doorway of the hut, face calm. Rescuers arrived days later. Sharp words.
He reported that Ichikura was lost in the storm.
Ichikura climbed comfortably into the helicopter. I won. But upon hearing something on the aircraft's radio, he realized that his plan had gone off the rails.
There are no survivors. We found 2 dead climbers. We are transporting them to base. Over.
Apparently, none of them. Any secret would come out of that ice mountain. Behind him, the mountain howled, and the snow buried all traces of the truth. Leave a comment with the next horror manga you want to see here. The best and darkest manga stories. Dark stories, dark manga tales.